Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News. Sorry for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. We had a little technical difficulty with Google. It seems that just nowadays they don't want us communicating. But we're back here with the doctor today, and we're going to be going over another report that she's done. And we were looking at some footage a few days ago, and we noticed a few things pertaining to the planet Saturn and also the planet Mercury in some of the LASCO C2 and C3 footage, and we'll explain all of that to you. There's a very, very high possibility here, ladies and gentlemen, that NASA is playing games with the information that we're viewing, because all of a sudden this morning, the doctor basically has been banned from using some of the NASA government sites. And these are internet-based sites where we go and analyze and get this information. This has been done to others before. Now, fortunately, I am able to get in, but she is not. And she's used this, this site several times. I'm not going to mention the site, but well, they basically blocked her. So we are going to move forward with this presentation. So good afternoon, doctor. How are you?
Good afternoon, Scott. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm not doing too bad. You know, these technical difficulties, they get to be a real pain in the neck. But
oh, yes.
I guess we can get by.
Very annoying.
Hey, I just wanted to say hi.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Hi to everybody, and I'm going to put you guys on mute because I'm driving. Sorry to interrupt. Much love to both of you.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do something here real quick. Doctor, you sent me an email right before we went on the air, and it was pertaining to a weather situation where you live. Why don't you tell us about that weather situation?
Well, I guess most people know where I live. I live in South Africa. And the weather, well, it's May, and it's usually autumn here in May. And it's not until July that we have really, really cold weather. But at the moment, it's snowing in places not far from where I live. And it's the kind of weather we don't even see in July, the coldest month. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
So you're telling us that it is right now, it is snowing in South Africa.
Yes, that's right.
When was the last time that it snowed in South Africa? Do you remember?
Well, it sometimes snows a little bit in the mountains, but that's in July. But now it's just snowing in places where it doesn't usually snow. The last time I saw snow in South Africa, I think it was in 1981 or 82. I'm not sure anymore. Or 1980.
So you would expect it. You would expect it to snow in the mountains, not in the the low plains, where you live. So higher elevations, you would probably see a little bit of snow. But where you live, I mean, it usually doesn't snow, does it?
No, it doesn't snow, and it's not snowing exactly where I live. It's just raining and very, very cold. But not far from where I live, it's snowing. So, and it doesn't usually snow in those places. So this is very surprising.
Well, I'll be quite honest. I'm really not surprised at the weather conditions right now around the world. They're very erratic everywhere. I just heard this morning that there is a nor'easter heading up the east coast of the United States. They're going to be getting some wicked weather in along the coast of New York and what is that? New Hampshire, Vermont, up into Maine, and then possibly inundating Canada again. And they just went through all of that flooding. They're not out of the woods yet up there. But yeah, that's quite interesting, snowing in South Africa. and wild and weird weather all around the world. Now, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. MMBB333, Mike from around the world, I did a video this morning, and it was from yesterday. And Mike's a very, very smart guy. I respect him fully. He does fantastic research. And he was videotaping the moon last night, and he is swearing up and down that the moon was in the wrong place in the sky. And he documented it. I mean, he documented it. And I mean, I have to believe him beyond a shadow of a doubt. I have to believe this man because he's been researching just as long as I have. Very, very highly intelligent individual. He would have no reason to come onto YouTube and do a video like that.
Of course.
Unfortunately, I can't see the moon. We are under super heavy cloud cover for the next several days, and rain till Monday. So if anybody is noticing things that are very, very different with the moon, I think we're going to be under a full moon today, tomorrow. You know, take some photographs. You know, I mean, you know how you see the moon where you live. So I was discussing this subject with the doctor this morning. And doctor, what would be the only reason why that you would possibly not see the moon in its proper place?
Well, actually a couple of possibilities. First of all, you know, there are the moon simulators, which they can use to cover up objects in the sky. And the most likely is the Earth wobble, of course. The Earth wobbles from one side to the other, and the moon doesn't go with it. So then the moon would be, so if if you are in a position on Earth where the Earth has wobbled so that you have moved north, then the moon, if it stayed where it was, would seem to move south to you. So that's a possibility. The other one is that the moon's orbit has been perturbed by some object nearby. So that's the other possibility. I still think the most likely is the Earth wobble. Then we would see other objects in the sky in the wrong position as well. For instance, Jupiter wouldn't be where it's supposed to be according to the sky charts, because we look out into space and we're not facing the same direction we were before. So that can be checked. So if the moon is in the right position, but the Earth has wobbled, then not only the moon will be, I mean, if the moon seems to be in the wrong position and the Earth has wobbled, then other objects in the sky would seem to be in the wrong position as well.
Yeah, whenever I was watching his video, he mentioned that the moon should be more east, and in actuality, it was more south. Yeah, so that yeah, that kind of makes me wonder.
Yeah, if you should watch for other objects as well. So if the same thing happens, say, with maybe another object that he can see from his position, say Jupiter.
Yeah, he did record Jupiter. He did record Jupiter in that video, yes.
Okay, so if he says that Jupiter has moved south as well, like the moon has, then it's definitely the Earth wobble.
Oh boy.
But yeah. If the other objects seem to be in the correct position, then it's not the Earth wobble. It would be that the moon's orbit is actually perturbed. Or otherwise, it's not the actual moon, it's a moon simulator. And I think someone reported on the moon actually staying in the same place for hours. And that would definitely be the moon simulator, because there's no way that any object in the sky would stay in the same place whilst the Earth is rotating. So that would have to be a moon simulator that's just covering up something.
Yeah, well, it definitely sounds like we have a situation. Just something else that that we're going to have to take a look into. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the screen for the report that you wrote. Just let me share my screen here real quick.
Yeah.
Because I found this report and this information that we were going over, you know, that day I found this just very, very odd indeed.
Yeah, this is the one I wrote the other day. I'm actually nearly finished with the next one that's also very interesting and follows from this one. And in that one,
take over from here. You could go ahead and take over
okay.
from here. When you need me to pan down, just let me know.
All right. Okay. So I started with the SoHo image, where I saw a little object in the corner that looked strange, because it didn't look like just one streak or anything. It looked like a couple of objects in formation. Now, this object was only seen in one frame. So usually when you see objects in one frame, you think, okay, maybe it's a cosmic ray and so on. But cosmic rays don't usually fall in such a formation. You know, they would be all over the image, and they would look like white streaks because they the signatures from particles that are traveling close to the speed of light. So the objects would look, you know, well, the faster they're traveling, the longer the streaks. This one, if you pan down a little bit more, we can look at the close-up of that object. And even though it's only in one frame, don't forget there's quite a time period between frames right now. And as we know, these objects are being hidden and covered up. So you can see it's a little bit pixelated, but you can see it looks like 3 objects.
You know what? Hold on 1 minute. I have to
yes.
I have to adjust something.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm going to let this catch up. I'm going to go back up here to the beginning because the screen was not sharing properly.
Okay. All right. So
okay. Now there we go. So back
yes,
to the beginning there, and this report was just titled "Brown Dwarf Stars and Other Objects in SoHo and LASCO in the C2 and the Secchi images." And we were discussing this a while back, and you know, we started noticing some things that were just kind of out of place. So now that we have the screen perfectly situated, you can go ahead and take over.
Okay, thanks, Scott. So just as I mentioned, I'm interested in that little object where, well, the yellow arrow is pointing to it, and I thought it was strange that object doesn't look like what you would get, say, if you have a cosmic ray hitting the camera, because it's first of all, it's a couple of objects. So if we scroll down again and look at the close-up, we see that it is a couple of objects. It's as if it's a system. You can see the bright one in front, and it's not a streak because there's a perpendicular line about through the middle of it. And then you see 2 other objects behind it that are not as bright and not as large. Now, it's possible that one of them is a cosmic ray, but it's unlikely that all of them are cosmic ray signatures, because cosmic ray signatures do not usually congregate like that. So it's very unlikely. So I thought these were strange, and they looked to me like a little system that showed up there. So of course I take note of these things, and I looked at it, and I put it in this article. But okay, so if we go down further, we look at what other things I thought were interesting, and these are in the HI1 images, so stereo ahead. And I like analyzing these images. And I don't know if you remember, there was, of course, a CME with a round shape in it, and that was from the same day. And we see the same round shape here. The yellow arrow points to it. That's the yellow shape in that CME, which in the end I thought maybe it's not, it could be a brown dwarf star being just pushed out by the sun. But even more likely, it could be that just the CME took on that shape because it had to go around the brown dwarf star that was right up against the sun. And as we know, we have a lot of evidence that these objects are right around the sun. So if we scroll down a little bit, because I looked at this image in stages, I didn't want to overwhelm people with what was there immediately because there's so much. So there's the circular shape of the CME. And then if we go down a little further, I actually show that's the CME that was in my previous article. There's that round shape. And there we are. It's the blue arrow points to it. So that's the same round shape, the same CME from the same day. Okay, so then if we scroll down a little bit more, we see the objects. These are labeled. These, I usually go to the SETI website to get the labels for the objects, and that's what they're not allowing me to do at the moment. So you see that it's Venus and Earth and Mercury, because it's the SETI, it's the images from the SETI site that usually have the objects labeled. All right, so if we move down a little bit more, oh look, just one thing, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
You see this object here. This object is not labeled, and usually we think of these objects because they seem to travel with a whole lot of the dots around as part of the background stars. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you that these objects are not what we have been led to believe later on.
You're referring to the object that I'm circling right here, correct?
That's right. So we usually tell that very bright stars can have these vertical lines like planets, and which people call Birkeland currents. I don't usually call them that because I think of Birkeland currents as something else. So I usually just say it's a vertical line through it. So that object, we'll come back to it later. Okay, but we usually are told that these are background stars. All right, so let's see what else is in those images. First of all, you see these darker shapes, these round, dark shapes, where the green arrows point to them. There are 3 of them. That's right. There's one on the left and one in the middle and one on the right. That's right.
That looks like somebody doctored the pictures.
Exactly. Hey, I think you have it. Yeah, they doctored the pictures.
You know, I'll be very honest with everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I did not review this report. Usually, I review the report way ahead of time. You know, so I'm on literally on the same page. I have not reviewed this yet, and looking at that, what the hell? It looks like somebody colored that out.
Exactly. They look like shadows of real objects, because what I think they did was there were real objects there and they just colored them in dark blue. They didn't even use the right color. Exactly. I was going to say that. I mean, that is really getting it not quite right. But anyway, really, so you see.
That's really bad. That's really bad.
It's bad. It's bad doctoring.
You know what? You can actually see the Birkeland line.
Yes.
You can see the line going through these objects.
Exactly. That's why I have those orange arrows pointing to those lines.
Oh my. That's what the hell?
I know. It's so strange.
And these
but that's what's happening.
These were from the 29th of April.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Whoa. Wow. I'll tell you what.
As you can see.
Usually I can pick stuff out like that real quick because I've looked at so many of these images for so many years.
Yes.
I might have missed that. But now that you pointed it out, I can actually see the round shaded area where your arrow is, and then I could see the Birkeland current line going right through it. And this one,
yes.
now I don't see too much of a line on this one, but you can tell that it was airbrushed, I guess. I don't know exactly how they're doing this, but that is bad. That's just bad.
I know. Yes.
Wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I was a little amazed at that right off the bat, seeing that.
So yeah, that was the first thing I noticed about these images, but believe me, there's a lot more to these images, as you see. Okay, so scroll down a little bit more. I couldn't point to everything, you know, I did it, it's the same images, but I point to things again. Now the purple arrows are pointing to that dark shape that's always to the left of Earth. And yes, you can see those.
Oh, this one, yeah.
That one, yeah. And then you see the what you call the Birkeland current associated with that object that's just to the left of Earth. It's always there. It's been there through 2016. It's like there's an object right there behind the Earth in a very close orbit. I've talked about this before.
Now, you know,
all right, now
somebody could easily say, and I know this will come out of the troll's mouth, that what we're looking at is some type of bleed over, because that's the excuse they always use, is this is bleed over from the camera. But to me, this does not look like any type of bleed over. This is clearly, oh my God, they're really trying to screw us. This is not bleed over, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a bleed over image that we're looking at right here. This is clearly, this is upsetting. This is clearly them trying to hide something.
Exactly. You see, some objects, like the one where the red arrow is pointing to it, the red arrow was pointing to it. Okay, have we moved up again, Scott?
Well, I wanted to go grab my little zoom tool, because now that's really bothering me there. That I want to see that.
Okay.
Oh my.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at this area right here.
Yeah.
That's larger. That's a larger diameter than if that was bleed over. It would be the same identical size as the object.
That's right.
This over here, same thing. And you could you could see the line. You could see it's perfectly square. Oh my, look at that. It's perfectly square.
Yes.
Rectangular. Yeah. Yeah, you could see the
yeah. It's amazing.
Oh,
so
they are dirty, man. They are dirty.
Well, you see, but that shows you that these objects, these are real objects in this image. They are real objects there of this size that they are trying to hide. So, you know, they cannot label these as Venus or Saturn or Jupiter or anything like that. So what do? They color them over with blue, but they didn't quite match the color.
Look at that. You could really see it bad right here.
Yeah. You can see it.
Wow, you want to talk about dirt bags.
Yeah, definitely. That's what's happening. And this is not it. This is only the beginning, Scott, of what I saw in these images. Only the beginning.
Oops.
Okay. All right. So then there were the blue arrows. And I think you like what the blue arrows indicate as well. So you scroll down a little bit more, because it's not this one, it's the one below. Oh, is this the next one? Yeah. Yeah, scroll up, because we're not finished with that one yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. There's the blue arrows. They are dirty, man. They are dirty as hell.
Yes, they are. Okay, let's look at the blue arrows. You notice where you point, the blue arrows point, it's very dark blue. There are hardly any white dots there.
Yeah, there's nothing there. It's just plain space, but yet everything else around it, top and bottom, is completely, you know, covered with stars and whatever else, except for this area.
Yeah. So I think they're blocking out more things there. Okay, so there's also even a vertical line there that I didn't even bother pointing to it, but there's obviously another object there.
I see it.
Because
I see
there's
it right
another
here.
Birkeland current. Yeah, that's right. So I didn't even point to that one, but it's there. Okay, so then the yellow arrows, I don't know if you can see it because it's pretty faint, but it looks like, yes, looks like what I call a typical brown dwarf star, because at the bottom it's lighter blue, it looks like a cloud, and the center looks darker. So to me, that's a brown dwarf star there.
Right here.
And on the other side, yes,
you could actually see. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can see this on your TVs or your computer screen, but you can see where this area is pixelated, and then right above here where the blue star is, there's no pixels. It's just nice and flat, clear color.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see where they once again they covered something up right here.
Yeah.
That's clear as a bell.
That's right.
You know, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if you looked at these images day in and day out, you know, and you got very, very used to looking at these images, you would definitely understand real quick what we're looking at. What we're looking at is a cover-up in more ways than one. Number one, them covering up the information. Number two, they're literally covering it up. You know, covering it up with like whatever method they're using. Wow. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And so you see, I think that's the yellow arrow points to an object that's a brown dwarf star.
Right.
And
there
there obviously are, yeah, that's right. And there's another one on the other side, but it's very faint. The other yellow arrow also points to one, but it's very difficult to see. But when I see a dark interior and then a lighter cloud-like shape around it, I immediately think, yeah, brown dwarf star. And they're really trying to cover these up. That's why they painted this whole area dark blue.
Wow.
And then the red arrow, points to that object there. And you can see it looks like it's got a cloud of iron. It's a bright object, and supposedly we're supposed to think it's part of one of the background stars. But the cloud around it, it looks like it's got a cloud around it, you see, and it's elliptical, And so whenever I see a cloud of ionized gas, there must be a brown dwarf star associated with it. So that's why I point that out.
Wow, they did a really bad job on this. This is a hack job.
Well, don't forget they have a lot of images to doctor. So I don't know, maybe they need to hire some more artists.
Or they could just lock you out of the website like they've done.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Jesus.
Which is yeah. All right, so we can scroll down a little bit more. There's even more to see in these images.
You already have my heart beating fast. I'm getting so mad right now because this is just a slap in the face.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Now the purple arrows, they point first of all to two circular outlines. There's the large circular outline, that first one there, and then there's another one next to it. Okay, That's right. And there's actually another one a little bit below that, which I will show you, also next to the large one. I don't know if you can see that. I didn't point to it. You can just see the arc there.
Over here?
No, a bit higher up. Higher up. It's just below the second purple arrow. Yeah,
Oh,
there.
Yeah, I could barely see it.
Yeah, that's right. So there's another one there. But as you can see, the objects, the outline of the blue sphere, it doesn't look the same as the outline outside. And when I first looked at these objects, I thought because we can see the white dots on top of it, that it was transparent. But now I realize it cannot be transparent because there's discontinuity at the outline. It doesn't look the same inside the outline as it does outside. Also, some of the circles don't look like they continue inside it. So it doesn't seem to me to be a transparent object. It's actually a solid object. And so, you know, what is it? Is it a star? It's large. I mean, if it's behind the Earth, it's at least 10 times larger than the Earth. But then Jupiter is 10 times larger than the Earth too. So it could be a very large gas giant planet or a brown dwarf, or it could be a small star.
How far away would you think that object would be? Is that hard to judge?
Well, it's huge. So to tell you the truth, it cannot be behind the background stars because it would be, I mean, impossible. There are no objects that can be behind background stars and look that large to us on this camera. So it has to be in the solar system. So if it is right behind Earth, it would be about the same size as Jupiter. If it's further behind than where Earth is, then it's larger than Jupiter. That's the only conclusion I can come up with. But it cannot be behind the background stars, which means that those little dots in front of it cannot be background stars. So that's right away, that's my conclusion there. But I didn't actually come up with that conclusion until further down in the article. Now the green arrows. Notice the green arrows, not finished yet.
Sorry.
They point to clouds. So there's the cloud around that bright object I already mentioned before. That's the middle green arrow. Yeah, that's the little one there. And then there's another one at the bottom on the left. Look how large that cloud is. It's huge. And that means there's a brown dwarf there somewhere. A brown dwarf star, I mean. And because if there's a cloud of ionized gas, there's a brown dwarf star. So we have three of them here, a very large one, a medium-sized one, and a little one. So that's why I use the three green arrows. Now the red arrow points to an area that actually looks like something was colored over. If you look carefully, it looks like almost like something shooting out from the brown dwarf star, which is indicated by the orange arrow.
Right here.
And I will, yeah, that's the brown dwarf star. And then there's an area, it looks like a dark cloud that seems to emanate from that. And the red arrow points to it. I'm not sure you will see it because it took me a while to see it when I was analyzing these images. But you will see lower down, I actually draw all the features that I noticed. Okay, so we can go a little further down. Okay, this is where I actually drew. You see that red arrow was pointing to what I drew there, you know, in red dashed lines. And I've got the actual image with nothing drawn in on the left and the image with everything that I noticed drawn. So that's the red. Now you can see if you compare the left and the right, you can see they actually tried to cover up something there, and it looks like some kind of plasma ejection from, well, it seems to be coming from that brown dwarf star, even though it's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
actually
right.
did notice that. I noticed that in the previous photograph before your diagram here. I could actually pick out the round object, and then I could see
Yeah.
the ejection that you were talking about, because I mean it's
Yes.
clearly been colored in. I mean,
That's right. That's right. It has. And then you see I drew lines over everything, like the bottom, the clouds of ionized gas in yellow, the brown dwarf star, I drew the yellow line around it. And then the dashed black lines on the top are the two circular outlines. And then the large outline around that object there, the very large circular object. And then lower down, you see on top of the lower cloud of ionized gas, the really large one, there are also more circular outlines there. So I think there will be more objects. But I didn't even, write out what they are. I'm not sure. There is so much going on in this image. But the most important is, notice the smallest cloud of ionized gas. Okay, that one.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yes.
Hey, one of the, we'll just say, questions is asked is, why don't we use FITS images? Is it that they're difficult to find? Are they not relevant? I don't even know what the hell they are. Can you speak to that?
All right, I can answer that question. The thing is, don't forget, I'm not actually a trained astronomer, so I know exactly what they are. I know where to get them. I never actually learned how to retrieve them. And when I started looking at the data, I thought, well, I can actually spend a long time trying to figure out how to do it, or I can just use the public access information. And it seemed easier for me.
Oh, that's
so that's
cool.
what I did.
I found it a little bit challenging too, but
yeah.
Just FYI, I'm going to start checking that stuff out and see how it works. Since
good.
That was a question that I've had myself legitimately. Okay, go ahead and continue. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So you see that the little cloud of ionized gas, and it's partially in front of the large circular object, right? And that's where, no, not that one, Scott, the little one that's in front of the large object. Okay.
Oh, this one
there's
right
that one.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, no, there's that one, and then there's the other one, the little one. It's in front of that large circle, right? It's partially in front of it. You can clearly see it's partially in front of it. When I saw that, I realized, but wait a minute, all these dots, because if you look at the footage, all the dots are moving together. That's why it almost looks like they're background stars. You'd think they're background stars, and our planets all moving in front of these background stars. But wait a minute, that little object with that little cloud of ionized gas is moving with all these background stars, and now it's in front of a solid object.
Got another question.
So when I saw that,
okay.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you with another question.
All right. Well.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, what's up, Scott?
No. She was right in the middle of explaining all of this on this.
Oh, I apologize. I'll wait. Go ahead.
It's like there's like all these little diagrams, and I'm trying to point to them.
Okay.
Oh, wait. No problem.
I even got myself confused here for a second. Okay. So. Okay. So we were.
Yeah.
Go back to where you were, what you were just explaining real quick.
Okay, so I was explaining that when I saw that little object, that little cloud was in front of this huge circle, and this huge circle I had realized is solid, it's not transparent, then that object, which is moving with all the background stars, cannot be part of the background stars. And since it's moving with all the other dots, it means all the other dots are not part of the background stars either. So all this fluff, these white dots, these clouds, this is junk. or well, I shouldn't call it junk, I should call it debris and objects that have come into the solar system, probably brought in by the whole lot of brown dwarf stars that have come in. So they've been using this background stars and hiding certain objects as background stars. And I realized they're not background stars. And I think this is the most important part of this article.
So we're possibly looking at just basically streams of debris which have been associated, you know, if you go back to the Nibiru theory, they refer to this huge debris field that is literally millions of miles long or a million miles long. What would be the effects of an object the size of this large spherical object? What would be the effects of the Earth with something like that close to us?
Well, if it was all about the gravitational theory, then it would be a huge problem. But don't forget, from what we've discovered, these stars are in the solar system and they haven't affected the planets all that much. Their orbits have been perturbed, that's true, and they are hotter than usual, but the solar system hasn't broken apart. So we have to go on the evidence that we have, and that is that it's the solar system that much. They've come into the solar system, and that led to the idea that the gravitational force is not what's causing objects to do what they do in planetary systems. You know, that's me again explaining how I realized that. So the effect these objects have on each other is more to do with the electromagnetic forces. And I realized as well that it seems that they are they act as if the strong force is a factor. So it could be that we could have a star close to the Earth, and what would affect it the most is not the gravitational effect, it's the magnetic field which affects the Earth's magnetic field. And it would be the radiation that it emits, because then we would be hit by a lot of that radiation. So our ultraviolet radiation would go sky high, even though, say, the sun is emitting less ultraviolet radiation. And we'd get hit with cosmic radiation, maybe, if this object emits cosmic radiation, X-rays, and so on. We would get hit by radiation. And if this object had a strong magnetic field, it would have an effect on the Earth's magnetic field. It would cause our magnetic poles to shift. And, you know, I've talked about this before. And then our geographic poles, which seem to be attached to the magnetic poles, would shift as well. And the Earth would wobble as a result in order as it tries to maintain its equilibrium. So, and I think part of what's happening with our weather patterns is this: it's the Earth wobble because of the magnetic effects of these objects in the solar system.
Is there a possibility that these are just passing by, or let's hope to God they're not in some type of an orbit?
Well, actually, it seems that most of these objects have been for a while. As you know, I observed the first brown dwarf in 2007 Core 2 images from Stereo B. And it's been there and it keeps coming around. I've written a few articles on that. I think we haven't done a video on that yet. I mean, a live stream on that yet. But it came around. So I first observed it in February of 2007, and then it came back in August of 2007. And again, I saw the huge reaction from the sun, where part of it goes dark and the outer corona gets a lot darker. There's fluctuation. in the light emission, and the sun throws a huge CME in the direction of this object. It's the same, I believe it's the same object that I first saw in February of 2007. And then I saw an object go by that looked almost exactly the same in April of 2007. And that object caused the same thing, disruptions with the sun. The sun throws a huge CME. So this object has therefore been here for 10 years. So I don't think, and probably a lot of them have been here longer than that. And I think these objects may have started arriving. I don't even know. You see, they are dark when they arrive, these brown dwarf stars. So they're not emitting light. So we don't see them in the beginning, but soon they absorb energy from the sun, and then they start to become visible.
Now,
and
let me ask you one question real quick. Is it possible for a large gas giant to not have a very strong magnetic field? Like, for instance, you know, Jupiter has a very, very strong, very outreaching magnetic field. So, I mean, is it safe to say that these planets are, they naturally, they can be all different?
Mm-hmm, they can be. Usually real planets and stars have magnetic fields because they have currents, ionized particles flowing inside them. And the moment you have ionized particles, they have a charge. A moving charge generates a magnetic field. So usually,
I guess the big question is, it's almost impossible maybe to judge the distance of this object from Earth using these images.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is it is in the solar system. It's not behind the background stars, because background stars are millions of light years away sometimes. There's no way, I mean, an object that is millions of light years away to have a size like that, it's impossible. It would be like a universe in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it has to be in the solar system. It's just too large. I mean, and I think it may actually be in the inner solar system. So it might be close to Earth, or it might be not that close to Earth, but just look close to Earth. The further it is from Earth, the larger it actually is. And if it is, say, at Mars orbit, or, you know, then it could be 20 times the size of the Earth, and or larger than that. And then I start to think maybe it's a star, like it's the sun's twin. It may actually not be a brown dwarf star. It may actually be a real star. I mean, a smallish main sequence star. And I'm sure they wouldn't want us to see that there are other main sequence stars in our solar system now.
Would we be able to see something like that from Earth, from standing, you know, in a position? I mean, would we be able to see that?
Definitely, yes. We should, if it's not being hidden by the devices that they use. And I think people have been taking pictures of other stars, and as you know, we've seen the evidence of the pink clouds, and which are not normal. We don't know what color this particular star is, what kind of light it emits. It could be one of those other stars. It could be emitting orange light, yellow light, you know, dark yellow light. There are many possibilities. Obviously, it's being hidden from us. I mean, it's been colored in. There's an outline around it. I don't know what they are trying to do, because initially I thought it was transparent. Maybe they think that people would think that there's some kind of device there that is transparent, and after a while just ignore it. But I realized this time that it's not transparent. It must be solid.
Yeah, because I never thought, after seeing this object time and time again, I never thought that it was transparent. It just had too much going on in the images and the video footage. It just, and it didn't move very fast. Like the other planets would skip across the screen pretty quickly in the time lapse, but that object would just move ever so slightly, which would mean it was further away from the camera. So naturally it would look like it was moving much slower than the objects, the Earth, Venus, Jupiter, you know, Mercury. Those are very close up to the camera, so naturally they would look like they're moving a little bit more quickly. But that's one thing that I noticed, is that object just moves maybe a millimeter at a time in the footage, but the other planets, they move very rapidly. So that would tell me that, that object's a little bit deeper into space. Judgment-wise, distance, I couldn't tell you.
Well, it definitely has to be behind the Earth, because as you can see, the Earth is in front of it, and that's a solid object. So it has to be further than the Earth. That's for sure. Yeah.
Oh God.
So as you can see, it's very interesting what I found in these images, and fascinating, really, and it's very important results, because it will help us. Actually, there, as you can see, the solar system is filled with debris. It's filled with all these objects that they're probably part of the clouds of ionized gas that these objects, the brown dwarf stars, have brought in.
So we're just basically looking at a huge debris field of gas, excuse me, gas, dust, debris. Excuse me. Because, you know, a lot of times these images can be, you know, relatively clear. You know, you'll see your stars and your little clusters back there. But looking at this, you know, you see these huge plumes of gas clouds and dust clouds and all of this debris streaking by.
That's right.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, so that's basically it from this report. I'm writing another one that I think you will find very fascinating. And it's more of what, you know, NASA and powers that be.
That was the end of this report?
Yeah, I think it is. It's not that long. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very interesting. That that has my heart beating a little quick right now, because I'm thinking to myself, wow. Try to get out of this screen here. There we go.
Yeah, it's a pity I nearly finished the other one. It would have been nice to follow up with that one right now, but I'm still working on it. I'm right at the end, but.
Yeah, that was that was a little interesting there, right there. That's a lot. That's a lot going on in just one image.
That's right. And there's a lot going on in a lot of them. It's taken me a while to actually be able to see what's going on in these images.
Wow. That's pretty startling. You know, I'm very seldom am I at a loss for words. I will tell you that much right now. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, really, I mean, because around this time, around the 19th through the end of the month, going into the beginning of May, we were starting to see some major disturbances. Am I not correct? I think we were.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we saw, well, the coronal holes are playing havoc with our planet because of the fast solar wind and the cosmic radiation that's actually coming from the sun and impacting our atmosphere and affecting our weather systems, affecting our power systems. So a lot of, and of course causing earthquakes, because these objects in the solar system and the fast solar wind causes currents in the ionosphere, And the large change in currents cause induced currents on the surface of the planet, so it affects the power grids. And also, it causes induced currents inside the Earth. And the Earth has a liquid magma in it. And then there are currents in it. The magma heats up, and then we get more earthquakes, more volcanic activity. And this is what we've been observing. It's been increasing almost every day. We see things happening that a few years ago we were not seeing. And I think you are covering those things.
Yeah, that's most definitely, that's spot on. I'm going to share the current SDO image, and we're going to just take a quick look at it.
Okay. But you can see the large coronal holes are always there, and the sun is much darker than it was a few years ago.
Yeah, so I was listening to a few reports this morning, and I was going over some information, and we're going to be looking at some, pretty heavy solar activity, I would have to say, from today all the way through the end of the month.
Yes.
Because when I was observing this footage here, this coronal hole, it just started opening up right in front of your eyes.
Oh my,
And
yes.
it's already starting a connection with the coronal hole on the top. It's already connecting here all the way down through the center, and then gradually it does connect with the bottom. You have to go to the GOES X-ray image, which I showed in my video this morning. The complete entire center of the sun, all of this.
That's right.
It's wide
open. It
open.
opens open.
It's wide open. It's wide open already as we speak. When I looked at the GOES image, matter of fact, I'm just going to pull it up for everybody so they can see what I'm talking about.
That's a good idea.
It was a little startling. This has the very, very high possibility of creating some very large earthquakes on our planet.
That's true. Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah. The earthquakes seem to be increasing in both magnitude and
the frequency. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This is what I'm talking about here, ladies and gentlemen. Just open this up for a full screen. This is the X-ray images that we were talking about from the GOES satellite, and looking at this image, it's a lot different from the purple image that we just looked at, and you can see that this has already connected with the coronal hole at the top. This is a massive connection. This is a huge gap, very, very large, 100,000 miles, maybe more, 200,000 miles.
Oh, I don't.
I mean,
it's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
Don't forget the Earth is 1/100th the size of the sun, so it looks like a tiny speck.
Yeah, the Earth would look like this dot right here, where
exactly something like
that's about it.
So this is huge. This is a huge coronal hole, and that's the area where there are no X-rays coming from, because this is an X-ray image.
Yeah,
so
the reason why I extended my warning all the way through the end of the month is because we're feeling the effects of the coronal hole openings that just passed, and you can see it right here. And then we're going to be faced now with this, and this will take several days to get to us. So whenever I mentioned in a report earlier this last week, I mentioned to everyone that we're going to see some very increased activity on this planet. I was saying probably the 14th, 15th, 16th, all the way to the 19th of the month. with all of these increased charged particles, just it's going to impact the Earth. The predictor models are already showing it. So I would definitely look for an increase in heavier earthquake activity, meaning the magnitude of the earthquakes.
That's right.
And just looking at this mess right here, I mean, this is really bad.
Yeah, it is. And don't forget the fast solar wind that comes out of these coronal holes takes about 2 days to get to the Earth.
Yeah.
So depending on the speed, I mean, we've had such fast solar wind that I calculated that it would take 1.5 days. That's the fastest that we've been getting. And of course, the cosmic radiation.
Yeah.
I mean, the cosmic rays. They arrive at the Earth within minutes, because these particles are traveling close to the speed of light.
Yeah.
So already the Earth is being impacted by the cosmic radiation that is coming out of this coronal hole.
Yeah. Then there's another one coming. You could already see it opening up to the left right here, where the X-ray image is going by. You could already see it's opening up here, and the way things have been going, ladies and gentlemen, as these coronal holes start to form to the left side of the sun, by the time they hit dead center in the middle of this camera, they're wide open. They're wide open, and this is where Earth is. This is the Earth-facing side of the sun. So, I mean, just like I said in my report earlier this morning, definitely solar events coming our way. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. I don't know about anybody else, but from what I'm looking at, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. I mean, this can have major effects on the Earth. It will have major effects on the Earth. We're already seeing absolutely catastrophic weather, weird weather, golf ball size hail that's dropping 8, 9, 10 inches in an area, cyclones and hurricanes and very strong storms forming at abnormal times of year. And then, as the doctor said today, I mean, there's parts of the area where she lives, it's snowing. It's snowing.
Yes. In May.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. The catastrophic flooding around the world, a nor'easter developing off of the East Coast, said to impact New York and some of the northeastern states along with Canada. Wow. Wow.
It's amazing what's happening.
I'm actually at a loss for words again.
Yeah.
Phew, I don't even know what to say. Well, we could take a look at we could take a quick look at the here, and let's see if we can get into the ISWA site.
Okay. Integrated space weather.
And everything's moving so slow. Even internet service is just.
Yeah. Well, apparently, like Chris said, the solar activity can affect the internet. So,
Well, we could already see the elevated solar winds here. I mean, we are very high. Oh Lord.
Yeah.
So we're already seeing this. We're already seeing this impact as we speak right now. You can see the bow shock front of the Earth right here. Well, you could go by the color code right here, the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah, it's red.
Yeah, we should be in the green or light blue. We are very high elevated. But see, the solar winds, they're only about 300. Yeah, they're not strong.
That's slow solar wind speeds, actually.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
300, what is it? 370 kilometers per second right here. That's
yeah.
not even 1,000,000 miles per hour. That's very, very low. That's strange.
Yeah, it could be that could be because the Earth is being impacted by another solar wind from the opposite direction. That would slow it down. As you can see, the arrows
Yeah.
in the blue there. Do you see what they're doing? They're
Yeah.
shifting from moving in that direction
Oh,
to
they are. I do see that. I do see
almost
that.
stopping. And that to me, and they're doing it in waves, as if there's another solar wind coming from the other direction that is, pushing the solar wind from the sun back towards the sun. So that would slow it down, you see.
Well,
So
let's
they
take
could be that.
a quick look at the magnetopause and see what kind of goodies they have for us floating around over here. Well, same thing. The bow shock in front of the
it's
Earth.
red.
It's very orange, very red, darker red here. You can see the magnetic field lines are actually reaching across. Oh, this is interesting, huh?
Very interesting. So we're getting impacted by particles, so by a lot of particles. So we should have faster solar wind. And like I said, the fact that it's slow is strange. To me, that would indicate that an opposing solar wind, or star wind, I should say. That would slow it down.
Yeah, because it wasn't very high at all. 370 kilometers per second for our solar wind that's relatively very low. That's very, very low. Because usually when we get the solar wind and it's at a high speed, we're up around 650 to 850 kilometers per second. Well, I would definitely say that we would probably be, like I said, on an earthquake watch.
That's right.
I would definitely say that we are and should be under an earthquake watch for the entire world. Because as I've mentioned today in my report that, there are earthquakes happening in areas right now of the United States where you don't see an earthquake. So you can see here the radiation levels are definitely elevated. There is a nice little green patch right here.
Yes, but the rest is dark yellow, and there's some almost orange, and that means there's way too many electrons around.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be
so happening.
It's going to be an interesting time on Mother Earth for the rest of this month, and we're only at the 13th.
That's right. We're not even halfway through the month.
My God, that's like two. Well, there you go. There's a nice size earthquake that just occurred in South America. Magnitude 5.2 right off the coast. Oh, that's another one offshore. Now, this is where they had the big swarm. This is where 60 earthquakes in 24 hours formed right off the coast of Santiago, Chile, the capital. It was more right over here. So once again, if we see another big swarm of earthquakes, that's a 5.2.
Yes. It's quite a strong one. It's reasonably strong.
5 hours ago, there was a 4.9 a little further out. It seemed to be slightly quiet in the Ring of Fire.
Yeah, 4.4 there.
But not in the United States. Back again up here in Canada, where they had the big swarm. We could see another swarm of earthquakes forming right here.
Yeah.
They're small, thank goodness.
That's right. Yeah, but they're still happening where they're not supposed to be happening, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Very true.
So
5 hours ago, there's a 3.9 here. 4 hours ago, 4.1. There's some smaller quakes right here in Puget Sound, Seattle. Yeah, see, ladies and gentlemen, earlier when I was referring to the information that was removed from an earthquake data site that lists all of the information for this Seattle area. All of the earthquake swarms that were all around this area, they were all removed. All of them. There was a very large cluster of small earthquakes, and that's alarming for these people in this area. You know, I've done a report once again on Cascadia, which every scientist, every geologist agrees that, you know, this area would be, you know, the most damaging. As they have stated, this would be more damaging than the San Andreas Fault. All of this area, all the way leading down into Northern California, but mainly these areas of Vancouver Island and all of the coastal communities from Washington all the way down the coast of Oregon. And there are a lot of communities. As you can see, there's a coastal highway. This area would be inundated, and they do have an inlet here, and any type of action on this Cascadia Fault, that's it. It's over for everyone in this area. You're looking at millions of people, millions.
That's right.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, and you know,
My goodness.
I just have a bad feeling. I just have a bad feeling about this area. You know, I'm hoping and praying that I'm wrong. But you know, they're way overdue. They are way overdue for this to happen. And at the current time, with all of the additional pressure being placed on the Earth, you know, anything can happen at any time. Once again, more earthquakes in Oklahoma, but larger. Magnitude 4.2, 2.7, and a small one of 2.4.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing some action here, and I would probably guess anytime today within the next 24 hours, we may possibly see a big earthquake somewhere on this planet. Southern California, magnitude 2.9. Usually they get these small, you know, swarms of earthquakes, you know, along the San Andreas, which is pretty normal for everybody. But some of them are getting a little bit bigger. Not much, but
yeah, there were a lot of them there, Scott.
Yeah, and remember these,
even though they're small.
Yeah, they get taken down after they're up so long. So we would actually have to go and, you know, look at the USGS map and take a look. And they remove information too. I mean, I even hate going to their website information. It makes me mad because look, see, there you go. All the earthquakes they're all removed. So you have to go and you have to, you know, search for more. 7 days. All magnitudes. And then their website starts to slow down.
Oh my goodness. That's a lot of earthquakes.
Yeah. You know, and then we're seeing all of this activity up in here where Yellowstone is located.
Yes.
I'm actually going to, once you load all of these earthquakes on this USGS map, it really, really slows down. But anyways, you could see, ladies and gentlemen, you can see earthquakes. Here was the one in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area outside of the city. More earthquakes along the western edge of the Appalachian Mountains. This is what I actually wanted to do, was turn on the terrain. And naturally, they're giving me problems with their website.
Of course.
They must know we're looking at them.
Yes, I'm sure they are not pleased with us always showing where they've doctored images. I'm sure they would like us to just keep quiet about that.
Yeah, they'll probably end up blocking me and blocking you. We won't have any information.
We have to get around that, I think, Scott. We have to find a way.
Now, this is the European earthquake map. You can see once again the same culprits: Turkey, Greece, and not too much activity in Italy. I mean, it's about time they get a little reprieve. But you could see some other earthquakes, 3.8. Here's one off the coast of Portugal, magnitude 4. A small one over here in France, a 2.9. That's actually on land. 3.8 here. And we could just take a real quick look at the worldwide map.
Yeah.
You can see the patterns, ladies and gentlemen. The Ring of Fire is very active.
Yes.
4.9, 4.5, 4.4, right off the coast of New Zealand, 4.6. Yeah. And then, Mexico. I don't show a lot of Mexico. Every now and then I will click on it and I'll show you what's happening on the western coast of Mexico. A lot of activity. We're just going to take a look at the last 72 hours. And you'll be amazed. This is the last 72 hours, the last 3 days. This is all of the earthquake activity on the western edge of Mexico. And if you look over here, you can see the magnitude: 4, 3.8, 3.4, 4.4, 4.1. And it just goes on and on. There's a smaller one, but they stay in the range of the high 3s and the high 4s all along this edge.
Wow. So
I think it's just a matter of time now with what's coming from the sun. I could see, I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but I could clearly see that the rest of this month, as I've said before, it's going to be pretty active. I think we'll definitely have some wild weather.
Definitely, Scott. I think we're already having it. Well, I'm feeling it right here.
Yeah, that's amazing. Snowing. Maybe you'll be able to go build a snowman later on.
Well, I'd have to drive a while to get there, but yes. No, I think I'll just stay cozy at home.
Yeah, that'd be a little scary, building snowmen in South Africa. Whew, boy, oh
Yes.
boy. Well, Doctor, do you have any last words? You have any last words for everybody?
Well, I'd like to thank you, Scott, for having me and letting me share again about what I'm finding and in the SETI images and so on. And it's always fun to me and to share what's actually happening in the solar system, because it's the truth. And that's what I'm interested in finding what the truth is and letting people know what the truth is. And letting people know that these things are happening. And I believe they are a warning from God. And to tell people what time it is and that it is time for them to look at their spiritual lives and connect with their Creator.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you 100%, everything you've said. I mean, we're looking at, we're looking at human lives all around the world, and everything that is happening around the world. People are being impacted by what's happening. And, that's our main goal, is to help inform people, try to help educate them on what is happening, whether it's to give them warnings or watches, to keep their eyes and their ears open, because these natural disasters, ladies and gentlemen, you know as well as I do, they can cost you your life in a split second. I was putting that video together on the Cascadia Fault zone, and just watching some of the video, listening to the report with Shepard Smith and the Japanese physicist. Oh God, I forget his name. The little white-haired guy with the long white hair.
Yes.
I forget his name. I always remember.
Forgotten.
I always remember his name. I think his last name's like Kaku, Mauricio Kaku or something like that. I love the guy, but towards the end of the interview, Shepard Smith asked him. He's like, "Would you live in this area of the United States?" And he was like, "Well, no, but man, if I had kids and da 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 da." And yeah, me, I couldn't live near a ticking time bomb like that. And for what they were saying, it's well overdue. And if that does set off, they're looking at a magnitude 9.2.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and if something like that occurs in the middle of the day while people are working, how fast things will change, there's just, I don't know, but it's very, very scary.
Yeah.
Very, very scary situation. And I hope it doesn't happen, but as these scientists and these other physicists say, that it's very, very overdue for that area. And there's not much that you can do to really prepare for something like that. If that subduction zone goes, yeah, the tsunami is going to be huge. And they were showing in another video that I was looking at from CBS News, they were showing the low-lying area, and it will be completely destroyed. There will be nothing left. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's very scary. Well, listen, Doc, stay on the line with me here. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank all of you once again for sticking with me and the doctor and Chris Potter. And the doctor she's still working on one report that you're going to find very interesting. We were looking at this footage, and it has to do with the sun and Saturn and Mercury. Once again, we think we are catching, NASA putting out some lies and trying to trick us on things that we're actually seeing, and they really shouldn't be there. Their movements are incorrect. And I'll just give you a little hint. As Mercury's moving through the solar system, it should not have a tail illuminating from the back of it like a comet. So as soon as the doctors, as soon as the doctors finish with this report, you're going to get a real eye opener on what exactly we've been getting into. So make sure you stay tuned. Keep your eyes and your ears open. This is Scott from Planet X News. I thank all of you for watching.